Hey, what's up, you guys? Welcome back to It's in the Blood. I'm Alex, and this is my dad, Shane. And today we are going to give our final predictions for the 2021 NFL season. I know so far it has been probably one of the hardest things I've done all year is digging into this and looking at all these individual schedules. And I feel like my dad over here feels the exact same way. And so I'm real excited to get in and share. I know these results probably are going to shock a lot of people, and I'm sorry to any fan bases in advance who I upset with this. I had no intentions of hurting any one team while making these predictions. I kind of was just going off of historical value of the two teams meeting after bye weeks, road trips, how far they're traveling, things like that. And so, yeah, I'm real excited to get into it. I'm real scared to see what this looks like at the end of the year when we revisit this. Before we get started, though, any comments or thoughts, Dad?
I just want to say really fast because, I feel like the more thought and effort I put into this, the farther down the rabbit hole I went. And it ended up pretty wild and weird. And if it turns out anything that we do today is correct, I think it will make for a very interesting NFL season. But pick your conference and division and start it off.
Oh yeah, and right before I get started, if you're new here, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below, and also be sure to, after watching this video, leave us a comment and, let us know your predictions, as well as let us know how wrong you think we are, because I know after going over my final result, these results shocked even me. So yeah, definitely after watching this video, leave us a comment. Let us know your predictions. Let us know how close you were to us, and let us know some of your, wild, out there, unrealistic sounding picks for the 2021 NFL season. But starting off, you got your backdrop in. We're going to go AFC North. Before we go into individual records, who do you have winning the AFC North?
The AFC North, I ended up as my top team was Baltimore with a 13-4 record.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I've been saying for the last weeks that the Browns were taking this division. I have them at 11-6. The only reason they won is because I have them 4-2 within the division, and I have Cleveland at 3-3. I'm just gonna go through all four teams real quick, and then I'll let you jump into yours. I've got Baltimore at 11-6, 4-2 in the division. I got the Browns at 11-6, 3-3 in the division. I got the Bengals at 9-8 and 2-4 in the division. And I've got the Steelers, which I'm not even sorry about this. I have them at 5-12 with 3-3 in the division.
Those are pretty close to what I felt. I still feel like that the overall strength of this division is still there. So I ended up, I'm not going to give my divisional records because there was no ties, but I had Baltimore at 13-4. I have Cleveland right behind them at a 12-5 record. I had Cincinnati at 9-8 also, and I had Pittsburgh at a 7-10 record. And I feel like that was a pretty self-explanatory division. I still feel like Baltimore and Cleveland's run game sets them out among most teams in the AFC, and that's why they're going to do well, because they've improved on their defenses, both sides.
Yeah, I originally had Pittsburgh at 7-10, and I couldn't tell you how I ended back with 5-12. But I know that Cleveland and Pittsburgh both have the easiest schedule in terms of run defense that they're facing. So I could still see Pittsburgh going 7-10, but I'm going to leave them at 5-12 because, like I said, I don't know what changes I made to how I got here. It was a crazy ride figuring these schedules out, but I'm really sitting confident with the Bengals at 9-8. I think their cap is 12, and I think their minimum is 6, and so 9 right in the middle. I'll be happy with that. I really thought Cleveland was going to take this division. Baltimore edged out one divisional win more because I believe I have them sweeping the Bengals, and I think that is where Baltimore takes the division over for me.
Absolutely.
let's keep it rolling. Let's jump over to the other side of the North. Who's your division winner for the NFC North?
Via tiebreaker, Green Bay wins the division at 10-7.
Okay, I'm actually a little shocked about that as well. Mine is not via tiebreaker, and it's a solid like two more wins over. I also have Green Bay at 11-6, and I'll run down mine real quick. I've got Green Bay at 11-6. I've got Chicago at 9-8. I've got the Vikings at 4-13, and I have the Lions at 2-15.
And I think we're on the same page for the most part. I had Green Bay at 10-7. I also had Chicago at 10-7. Green Bay had one more divisional win. Minnesota at 5-12, and I had Detroit at 1-16.
Well, I gave Detroit a little bit more than you did, but I think originally I have a lot of scratch marks on my notes right here. I think I had Chicago at 10-6 or 10-7, which leads me to believe that I think I had Green Bay also at 10-7, but I scratched out, and I think I gave Green Bay an extra win over Chicago.
The only reason that knocked me down on Green Bay from being a 12-5 team overall was what we discussed earlier today, was the Aaron Rodgers factor on is he going to ball out this year and try his best, or is he just going to coast through the season and get traded next year? I'm not. I don't trust him right now until he proves me otherwise. I'm down on him just a little bit.
My thinking is there's a lot of tough schedules out there. There's nobody. I have nobody going undefeated. There's a lot of tough schedules, more so in the AFC, but the NFC's got a lot of tough matchups as well. And I have the Packers at 11-6, and I feel like that's a lot of wins. Any division, any conference, I feel like that's a lot of wins this year. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to ball out because he wants to get traded. If he comes out and slumps and kills the Packers this year, he's going to lose a lot of value in terms of where he could end up. And so, I think he's still going to put out 100%. He's still got Devontae Adams. He's still got a lot of the guys that he wanted there, with the additions of, Randall Cobb and other people he wants there. And so, I don't think he's going to have another MVP season, but I do think he's going to ball out and be just up there right under some of these other MVPs. So that's why I have them taking this division, with Chicago inching right behind them. I think this is, a good year for them to turn up their team and franchise.
Hit another one. We're doing good.
Yeah, I'm going to go down to the West, and I picked the North and West first because my two favorite teams play in the North and West, and so I'm going to let you go first because everyone already knows, where I'm going with this, so I want to hear what you have to say first about the West.
Completely torn in this division. When it all came down...
No, AFC West.
Right. Both Wests.
Okay, true. Both Wests are real tricky this year, so, yeah, go ahead.
So it came down to a lot of different factors. I originally, when we first went through this, I had Kansas City at 14-3. I thought that's where they would end up. I really did. And then going back through and watching how the schedules played out and how everything came out, I ended up with Kansas City at 12-5. I also ended up with the Chargers at 12-5, with Kansas City having the edge in divisional wins. So it goes Kansas City 12-5, LA 12-5. Then it goes down to Denver at 11-6. I think they're going to be a good team this year, and the way their schedule dictates, I think they're going to put up 11 wins. Be warned, everybody. In Las Vegas, 4-13.
Wow, I can't believe I gave Vegas more wins than you did. Coming from an actual Chiefs fan, I can't believe that happened. But I will say there are a couple primetime games, not counting week 1, and a couple tough matchups that I really see the Raiders edging out, and I think that's where those 2 extra wins that I gave them were. I've got the Chiefs coming in at 15-2. and 5-1 in the division. And the only reason I don't have them at 6-0 in the division is because I think week 18 they play the Broncos, and I think they're going to rest their starters. And like you said, the Broncos are a good team, and so they're going to take advantage of that. I wanted to put the Chiefs at 17-0 because I think it's 100% possible. Patrick Mahomes straight up said my only goal now that there's an extra game is to go 20-0, and so they're gonna be trying for it. I don't think they're gonna. I think there's a chance of an early loss around week 7 or week 8, but I don't think it's going to be coming until the end of the season, right before playoff time. So I got them at 15-2, 5-1 in the division. I got the Chargers coming in second at 11-6, 3-3 into the division. I think they would have more in the division, but I don't think I have them beating the Chiefs at all, which doesn't make sense because they're the one team I think that's the most skilled enough to beat them. But like I said, the Chiefs are on a mission this year, and I don't think the Chargers are going to slow them down. Now the Raiders, on the other hand, are who give them trouble. But like I said, I don't have the Chiefs losing to anyone but the Broncos in the division. I got the Raiders at 6-11. I told you there's a couple matchups. They play Pittsburgh. They play the whole AFC North. They have some really tough games, and I think that a lot of them are played at home, and so I think they're going to edge out a couple wins there. So I only have them 1-5 in the division, but I have them winning 6 games this year. And then the Broncos, I could not give them 11 wins because of how bad they were last year and how down bad they were. Teddy Bridgewater is going to be crazy good and good for this team, and this defense is getting healthy and getting better. But I do have them at 9-8, which is a pretty solid record this year, in my opinion. It's probably still above average. That's where I had Cincinnati, and I think that's still above average across the whole league. So I think this is a good year for the Broncos to start building. I don't think this is a completely winning year, but I do think 9-8 is a great improvement from last year and a lot of momentum in building towards their future. Now, here's probably the hardest division out of all of them, other than maybe the AFC North, because I feel like that was a little tough for me too. But let's hear what you got to say. Let's take on the NFC West.
So I think the NFC West is probably, by division, the most talented division in the NFL this year. I think San Francisco's rebounded. I feel like Seattle is going to be on an uptick. Phoenix has definitely improved a lot, and of course the Rams have improved at the quarterback spot, which was the one spot that they really needed improvement. I'm still a little bit worried about the running back situation there, but let's hit it out. I had LA winning the division at 13-4. I have Phoenix or Arizona coming in second in a tiebreaker at also at 13-4. I had the Rams winning one more divisional game. After that, I got Seattle coming in at 12-5. It really surprised me that I ended there. And San Francisco, all 4 teams having above average seasons and coming in at 11-6. I feel like based on their schedules, what I saw, that all of these teams can put forth that type of season.
Yeah, no, I agree, and mine looks very similar but a little different. Every team in this division I have having at least 11 wins, but my divisional record for all 4 teams was 3-3. I don't remember if I have any team beating someone twice or if they're all split, but this is just what I added everything up last. I was going through each of these games, and then I counted the totals afterwards. So I did not know what I was doing at the time. So I thought it was really funny that I ended, 3-3 for all 4 of them. But I have the Rams and the Seahawks tying the division at 13-4, 3-3, and I was trying to pick a playoff number 1 seed. But they both went 8-4 in the NFC on my predictions, and so I chose the Rams to outbeat the Seahawks and total points or whatever it comes to deciding that tiebreaker. So I'm taking LA as number 1, 13-4. I've got the Seahawks right behind them, tied everywhere, tied across the board, 13-4. I couldn't believe I had the Seahawks that high, and so that was probably one of my biggest shocks out of all of it. And then my third team, I have the 49ers at 12-5. I think this is going to be a rebound year for them. I don't think Jimmy G is going to let the thought of Trey Lance stop him. As long as he stays healthy, he's going to play all year, and he's going to perform because they have a great team and an even better defense. And then I got the Cardinals coming in fourth at 11-6, and this is where I'm disappointed in seeing the results because I really felt like, the Cardinals were going to take over this year. Like, this is their year, and I still think it's possible, but I still have them in the playoffs. I have all 4 teams in the West in the playoffs, which is probably the craziest thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I have them coming in at 11-6. All 3 of them, like I said, are 4 of them tying 3-3 in the division. So, I don't know. It's going to be a fun division to watch.
I find it really interesting that everybody that's watching this video should know that we did not collaborate not one little bit on coming up with this, and to be as close as we've been thus far is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I told myself coming into this video, I was like, I just really want to come up with a better predictions than my dad. Like, and then now we're sitting here discussing it for the first time after we've been working on these for a few weeks now, with preseason and everything going on. It's crazy to see how similar they've turned out through the first half. And, after we get through the East and South, we'll hit real quick of where our seeding lies in the playoffs, and then we'll probably make another continuation video going further into it later on. But let's get right into the East. What you got for the AFC East?
Here's where I ended up with the number 1 team in the AFC this year. I feel like Buffalo really improved going forward last year. I think they're going to carry it on and continue. They're going to go 14-3. I originally had New England right on their heels, but with the cutting of Cam Newton and the losing of a veteran, I knocked them back another game or 2 games and ended up with an 11-6 record for them. I do not think Miami is going to make a 500 season this year. I still think that there's a lot of questions, both offensively and not so much defensively, but kind of together. I got them at 7-10. And last but not least, the Jets are going to improve, but they're going to go 3-14.
Yeah, we had a really similar predictions here. I felt bad for the Jets, and I think that they're an 8-win team if they didn't have such a hard schedule. But they do. And so that's why I had to be hard on them. I've got the Bills winning that division 15-2, and I have them going perfect in the division, 6-0. I have number 2 is the Patriots. And like you said, things were going to look a lot different if it had been Cam Newton starting the season, but they cut Cam, and as far as we know, it's just Mac Jones. And so as Mac Jones being their starter, I have them going 9-8, which is not bad for a rookie season. We understand that it is Bill Belichick, and he's probably the greatest head coach of all time. But I don't think they're going to hit that double-digit win mark. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs either, but I do think they're going to inch out 9 wins. And then jumping down to my number 3 team, I'm right there with you. I have the Dolphins at 7-10. There's too many quarterback questions. They don't know what's going on. I don't trust Tua. And, I'm not on the Tua train. Until he proves himself, that's where they're going to sit for me, a 7-10 team. Then, maybe next year they'll inch out 10 if they can get him improved or get somebody else. But that's where I'm leaving them for now. And the Jets, I think they improve, and I feel like this team specifically is open for fluctuation. I have them at 2-15. I really could see them winning at least 5 or 6 games, but Their schedule is impossible. Every team in the AFC had a hard schedule this year, and so I had a really hard time thinking that they're going to outplay anybody. Being it is a rookie team, basically as a whole, there's a new head coach, new quarterback who is in his first year, a lot of rookies, a lot of learning. This is going to be a learning curve year for them. Do I think they're going to stay at 2-15 forever? No, I think if they can keep everybody they have and keep building on that, they're going to be more competitive in years to come. But this year is just a learning year for them, so I can't give them any more than that right now. NFC East is the dumpster fire of the NFL, and it always has been as long as I've been watching football. So I want to hear what you have to say because you're gonna. I just can't wait for you to talk about what I have to say.
So this one's kind of hard because I don't feel the love for any of the teams in this division. I despise Philadelphia. I'm not a big fan of Washington. I never have been, although I like them better now than I have in years past. New York's a dumpster fire, and Dallas is considered America's team, and I don't buy into that. However, with that being said, I got Washington winning the division at an 11-6 record. I think putting them any higher, I still am not sold on their quarterback situation at all. There's a lot of inconsistency there, whereas if they would had somebody that I thought was a little more stable in the pocket, they might have been a 12 or a 13-win team. So right now they sit at 11. Contrary to what I think you're going to feel, I got Dallas in behind them. But I do think Dallas is going to put up a 10-7 record this season, only because I think their schedule is a little more favorable as opposed to some teams. Behind that, I got the Giants at 4-13. Yeah, even though they got a lot of good pieces, I don't think their quarterback situation allows them to win much. And then Philadelphia, as much as I like Jalen Hurts, I got them in at 3-4.
Yeah, I'm going to start from the bottom with mine because it just gets crazier as I go up. I have the Giants and the Eagles at 5-12 at the bottom.
That's generous.
Yeah, it's very generous, but they do play teams like the Texans and the Jaguars, and a couple, one of my wins for the Eagles is an NFC West win, and it's just because of West Coast coming to the East Coast, travel and things like that. If it hadn't been for that specific game, I would have the Eagles at 4-13, and I probably would still have the Giants at 5-12. But I only have the Cowboys a little further up at 6-11. I don't know how healthy Dak's going to be. He's already back from his injury, which, his ankle looks good, but then he gets hurt with his shoulder. That's probably the most important part of the quarterback, his ankle and his shoulder, and those are the two things he's been dealing with. I'm not completely sold on their defense. I think their defense did improve, but I still think teams are going to run all over them. Their offensive line really hasn't been that much better either. So I still think they're going to be a high-scoring offense, but there's still a chance Dak gets hurt again. And, if Dak goes down again, I don't want to give them 10 wins and him get hurt in week 3 and not win another game. So I have to lowball them completely. Even though I don't think they're going to be that good, I'm going to keep them safely at 6-11, and I think that is, in my opinion, is me being generous to them because I could have put them right there with the Eagles. Now, this is probably my craziest one out of all of every division. I have Washington coming in at 13-4 and winning the NFC first. Yeah, I have them going 5-1 in the division. There's a lot of teams that are really good that they face, but their defense, it's Chase Young's entering his second year. He's ready for more. He's not ready to lose. He's quarterback hungry, man, and he's getting good company on that defensive line. Look, I know there's quarterback issues, but Ryan Fitzpatrick in Miami, they still had 10 wins last year. and you can't discount that. And like I feel like Taylor Heineke is going to get some play time as well, and we saw what he did to Tampa Bay. If things had been just like 1 second different, the Bucks would not have been in the Super Bowl, and Washington would have beat them in that game. Like it was a very close game, and they meet again this year, and I don't think the outcome is going to be the same as they did in the playoffs last year. So yeah, I have Washington being the number 1 team in the NFC at 13-4.
I don't give Washington that much clout as far as their overall record, but 2 games is about where I was at with the quarterback issue. That's why I knocked them down to 11.
Well, the thing is I didn't realize I had given them that many wins. And if I look at my schedule where I have their schedule broke down, I have a lot of times where I went back and forth on a lot of games.
Yeah, let's agree that they're going to be in a lot of tight games this year because they're probably not going to be as proficient offensively, and they're going to be really good defensively. So defense is going to keep them tight. And, the luck of the bounce.
They still have a lot of weapons. They went out and got some guys to accompany the guys they already had, and they did grow. They improved a lot in this offseason, and so that's why I'm really excited. Last year they had Dwayne Haskins, who did nothing, and then they had other quarterbacks coming in and just getting hurt. And so they fixed their offensive line a little bit more than they had it last year. They've got more guys to throw to. They still got great tight ends, and then they have a fantastic defense that they only improved on in this offseason. I have a lot of faith in this team. Either way, they're the only team in the NFC East that's going to even think about double-digit wins. And so, in my opinion, I hope I'm right on this because that's the craziest possible outcome ever.
I like yours more than what I ended up with, honestly. But I ended up with what I ended up with because of how I pick games. So we're off a little bit on this one, but not too badly.
I knew once I finally tallied everything up that this was going to be where we got separated a little bit because I was like, wow, that is probably the most unrealistic thing I've ever wrote down ever. And I didn't even know until I was done. And so, yeah, I'm really excited to see how this plays out. I can't wait to talk to you again in February and when we can recap on this video and see how wrong we were. But I hope this is the one thing out of all of the NFC, I hope this is the one thing I got right because, like, it would be the craziest outcome ever.
Let's hit that AFC South.
All right. Yeah, I'll jump right into it. I've got the Titans winning this division at 10-7, and I've got the Colts right behind them at 9-8. The Texans and the Jaguars are both dumpster fire teams. Look, I know they got Urban Meyer and Trevor Lawrence and whatever else they think they got that's going to make them win games, but they're a bad team, and I think cutting Gardner Minshew only made them worse. I feel like with a rookie quarterback, the more time they sit on the bench, the better they're going to be when they play, and there's no time sit out on the bench for Trevor Lawrence. Let Gardner Minshew go out there. Let him get hit play after play. Don't let your rookie quarterback get beat up every single play. Every single play in the preseason, he threw the ball, he got hit still. And so, I'm not sold on that team. They're still bad. They have not improved that much. So I have the Jaguars and the Texans in the exact same place at 2-15. Both winning only one divisional game, and it's against each other.
Wow. At the top, we're very similar. I have Tennessee at 10-7 also. I have Indy coming in at 8-9. I don't see them with a winning record, and there's several reasons because of that, but the main one is Carson Wentz. I think he melts down somewhere mid-season. Beyond that, I'm in shock that I came up with this number, and I went back and looked at it again and counted how I did it, and I'm sitting there, and I'm still kind of in shock over what I came up with. But I ended up with Jacksonville finishing next in the division at 6 wins and 11 losses. I don't know how I got there, but their schedule is pretty weak too. And then Houston at 1-15. I don't see much good coming out of anything they got going on there. And we still don't know where Deshaun's going to end up, but it's not going to be there.
Not going to be there, no.
So let's hit this NFC South because I know you're just itching to drop this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go ahead and go first on this one because I got a lot of feelings to hurt.
I still got Tampa Bay winning that division. I got them in at 11-6. I've thought long and hard about this, and I'm going to stand by that. I'm going to say that they're probably going to squeak that out. I think Jameis Winston plays excellent in New Orleans this year. I think in the end, they still get 10 wins. They're going to be a 10-7 team. Carolina, when I went through their schedule, I ended up a little disappointed about some of the teams that Sam Darnold had played against and how he performed against a lot of the teams on their schedule. I ended up with Carolina at 9-8, even though I think they got the best weapons in the division right now. And Atlanta still on the rebound. They're going to play a lot closer games this year with 3-14.
Yeah, I'm ready to break some hearts. I have the Saints winning the division at 11-6. And I have the Saints as the only team in the division making the playoffs. I have Tampa Bay coming behind them at 9-8. And 9 wins right now is just not enough for a playoff appearance. I have the Colts in the AFC at 9-8, and they're the only 9-8 team I have making the playoffs at all. Yeah, I know that a lot of people are going to be really upset that I take going from the Super Bowl to not making the playoffs. And yeah, I don't like Tom Brady, and there is nothing against him when I was making this schedule. There are just a couple games. Like, I still think it's possible for them to squeak out a win because obviously these are not perfect predictions. Squeak out a couple wins that I had them losing, but they have a relatively tough schedule. Not only did that division get tougher, with the Panthers improving, the Falcons are working on it, and the Saints are still good, whether anyone wants to admit that or not. But that West is a nightmare. The East, they have to play Washington again, and I don't think they're going to beat Washington this time around. And even in the North, with the Packers, the Bears, I'm not worried about the Vikings or the Lions, but the Packers and the Bears, it's going to be tough. And so I've got the Panthers coming in at 7-10, and I was right there with you about how you went about doing it. I would love to give them 12 wins, but it is a new quarterback going to a new team. They've got great weapons and early chemistry, but it still is like a rookie year when a quarterback switches teams. And I got the Falcons at 6-11. I think they're going to improve this year, but the division's tough already, and they've already struggled anyway, so it's only going to get harder for them. They're going to grow as a team. The thing is about the Saints is they're not going to play a lot of games at home this year, which might end up changing things. I think Sean Payton is taking really good care of that team and has a lot of faith in Jameis Winston. Plus, they still have Taysom Hill as an option player. I think there's a lot of good to come out of that organization. I think that's the number one sleeper team in the NFC for sure. Everyone discredits them. I really feel strongly about them. And like I said, I don't want to offend anybody, but I knew I was going to break some hearts. I didn't even realize I didn't have the Bucs in the playoffs until 5 minutes before we went to record this, and I went to add up the win totals and see who was the playoff rankings, and I was like, uh-oh. And so it's just tough this year. This schedule across the board is tough. I do think it's still possible for a couple teams to slip in and out with a couple, fluctuate 2 games, win or lose. And so, it's still likely for the Tampa Bay to be there. But they were right on the edge last year, and Brady's coming off of a injury, a surgery. It's a lot harder to play once you've won the Super Bowl because every team you play is going to come at you twice as hard as anybody else. So I think they've got a long road ahead if they want to make another playoff or Super Bowl run. I know it's all in their minds. They got that win. Brady wants to keep going, but it's going to be a long one for them. All right, so after a lot of thought and, we finally get to express what we came up with. We're excited to hear what you guys think about it. it's going to be a crazy NFL season, especially if either of us are any remotely close to being right. So definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, or if you're just seeing this for the first time and you're interested to keep going with us. We're live every week, so you can come hang out, but drop a comment and let us know what your NFL 2021 predictions are, and you know, tell us how crazy we are, and we can't wait to see you guys next week on our live or whenever this comes out. So yeah, any last thoughts, Dad?
One last thing is that once this one drops, probably before the season, we will do our playoff predictions and seedings based on these predictions to go through and show that out. That'll be one more drop video that we'll have. I'll make sure that we get them scheduled correctly. And until next time, man, everybody, this was a lot of fun, and I'm really shocked where we ended up.
Yep, I can't wait to see you in February going over this again.
Later, everybody.